Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. Head on to the JimsFirearms.net hotline right now. We'll chat with our guy Shea Dixon from the Bengal Tiger, part of the On3 network. Shea D, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Hunt?
I'm good. I kind of wanted to there's no pressing news in the recruiting world, but I kind of wanted to do a little bit of an overview of kind of where things stand right now, specifically with the Louisiana recruits in this class. We know that one of the biggest questions that was asked when Brian Kelly was brought in, well, okay, can he recruit Louisiana? And in year one, he was dealt some disadvantages, some significant ones, and 5 of the top 10 in the state signed elsewhere. But the focus, I believe, this year, and if Brian Kelly's actions and your coverage are any indication, was to make sure that Louisiana was locked down, as they say. It appears that he's on his way to that now.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how I would view it, too. You look at the top 10 players in Louisiana a year ago, and let's say on an average year, LSU's offering double-digit Louisiana guys, usually 10 to 13 guys, and they'll end up, hopefully, for the Tigers' sake, with around that many commitments or signees by the end of it. And, yes, you're going from back-to-back, 500 regular seasons at the end of the Orgeron era, coaching change where everybody but Brad Davis is gone from the on-field staff and then the head coach. And you're moving into a recruiting cycle where you're picking up, and right then is the early signing period, and in 2 months or month and a half is the final signing day in February. And I think it was 5 or 6 of the top 10 players left. So compare that to this year. Tell me how they're doing this year. Well, the top 10 in the state right now, all but 2, 3 of them, all but 3, so 7 of the top 10 are committed to a college, and all of them are committed to LSU. And then you've got 3 uncommitted guys. And LSU also has some commitments beyond that top 10. I think they have 18 total commits, Hunt, 72% of them coming from Louisiana, 13 of them. So, yes, a big focus is being put on, okay, let's start by putting the fence back up as best we can around Louisiana and locking down the guys that are the recruiting base, are the reason, remember, Hunt, that Kelly said one of the reasons I came down here is LSU's got this unique recruiting base. Well, you've got to lean into that if you want to have successful teams and classes at LSU.
We're going to talk about Dominic McKinley. We're going to talk about Wardell Max, some guys that are not committed that we want to get to. But I do want to talk about some of the guys that are committed from the state of Louisiana. We'll start with Tradeas Green, who on 3 has the number 2 player in the state of Louisiana, 6'7", 240-pound tight end from East Feliciana last year. I think he's on the move here. But what kind of player is Tradeas Green?
Yeah, that and you said it correctly. For those who are saying that, I wonder if he misspoke. 6'7", 240, and
yeah.
He's also a very good basketball player. Matt McMahon has been out multiple times to see him. The staff has. They have an offer out. I know he'd like to be able to play both. That's just so much tougher to do than football and track or something like that would be, even baseball, just because of how the 2 years or seasons intersect, football and basketball. But he's talented enough to do both. And I think we've got him right now as a top 5 or 6 tight end in the country. Really, everybody considers him a consensus top 5 tight end out there. I think that when you look at him now going from East Feliciana to playing at Zachary, which is where he'll be a senior year, I mean, he had 800-something yards and double-digit touchdowns last year. You go to a school like Zachary, and you're a focal point of the offense, and you're playing deep into the playoffs, and you could be looking at a 1,000-yard receiver in a tight end. So I really like the direction things have gone so far under Kelly. When you take over and Taylor, immediately becomes an impact guy for you as a true freshman. Then you sign 3 guys this past cycle, including Kamorian Pimpton, a top 5 tight end, who I think is going to be and have that impact that people wished Eric Gilbert would have had when he spent just that COVID year at LSU. Tight end, for me, is one of the things that's turned around the quickest in the Kelly era.
Let's talk about a couple other guys. We'll stick in the 225 with Deshaun McBride from Denham.
Yeah, he set Denham's single-season program record for interceptions. He had 9, and that was from the safety spot. And he's all 6'3", well over 200 already. So long. I think this is one of the better safety prospects that's come through Louisiana in recent years. And to get he and Joel Rogers both committed at safety in this class gives them what I think at the end of the day, when the final rankings are done in February, I think they'll both be in that top 10 range for safeties nationally. And McBride could be well into the, I think, even top 5. He's just got that kind of upside for a kid coming out of the Denham Springs area who had a ton of offers, kind of blew up, and LSU didn't wait to camp or anything like that. They did it in the spring and got his commitment.
Let's talk about what On3 would call the biggest fish in the sea here in Louisiana, and that would be Dominic McKinley, top 25 player in the country. I know that you've posted a lot on On3 on the message boards and whatnot, saying that he's pretty close to the vest, not a very public recruitment. But what can you tell us about the player and what the process is going to look like from now until he signs on the dotted line?
Yeah, this is the segment we get into that's just I use radio as a break from my website where I don't have to listen to people melt about what we're about to have to talk about, which is great. You've got 7 of the 10 best players committed, but what about the other guys? And obviously McKinley, being the number 1 player in the state right now, draws a lot of attention. He did June was official visit stretch for him, and you have to remember, so many kids who are 5-stars have been recruited since like 9th grade. Well, he became a 5-star and blew up with offers after his junior year. So all of this is still very relatively fresh to him. So he went to A&M, Texas, Oklahoma, Ohio State, all on official visits. And the NCAA doesn't have the cap like they used to. Recruits could only take 5 official visits before. So right now there would only be 1 left, and all these teams jockeying for it. Now you can take as many as you want.
I didn't know
LSU
that. That's great. I had no idea.
Yeah,
I forgot that.
Well, a lot of stuff gets lost in people like Ross Dellinger's timeline, right? They're all just, the NCAA is dropping like 800 new adjustments a month, and that was one of them. So you've got unlimited official visits now for a prospect, and LSU will get one. I won't be surprised if Bama, Georgia, teams like that get one. This is a kid who's being recruited by everybody, but I still think at the end of the day, yes, LSU had a couple kids out of Westgate leave in the past couple of cycles and go out of state, but in the Acadiana area, it's always been sort of LSU getting wins there, and him being number 1 in the state, I think they'll prioritize that and find a way to get it done.
Who do you think the biggest threat is to LSU?
Oh, I'm not sure. I mean, if you talk about a guy like Wardell Max, John Ehret, I would say, okay, maybe a Texas. With McKinley, he just is so new to this that all of these teams are going to get him to campus and feel like they've got a shot. And, I think he's feeling out all these teams as they go. Well, he learns about their football team, education, what's the campus like, any of that, because he wasn't even doing a ton of visits before this spring. So I don't know. That's tough. And I could name a few schools. A&M, Texas, I think would be 2, but I think a lot of teams feel good about at least being in the race.
Wardell Max, the number 3 player in the state, according to On3. I know there's been a lot of buzz over on the message board about him lately. What are your thoughts on him as a player and what this process may look like?
I think he's no doubt one of the best athletes in Louisiana. I mean, he's a 2-way player for John Ehret. He rarely ever comes off the field, and he stands out when you watch them play as that guy's clearly one of the best players that's out here, and they'll play some good competition. So for college, he's a corner or a safety. I think teams like him at both. So he's got just overall real versatility, just as a very good football player. As far as his recruitment, Florida is recruiting him and got him on an official visit. Obviously, Corey Raymond's the one who's doing the recruiting there. Texas has been the team who has drawn the most buzz coming out of the summer months, in large part because I think their visit was one that he felt good about. Texas has sort of been on a roll in recruiting, and they've also kind of really prioritized him as an out-of-state guy they wanted to be in on. So if I'm right now, like I said, if I'm looking at who could be the biggest competition for Wardell Max, I would circle Texas. But I also don't think that, at least if we're going off what he's kind of maintained and said to us On3, that a decision will come closer to a season, which would mean we're probably more than a month, maybe 2 months away from kind of hearing what he decides. And you're still 4 or 5 months away from seeing what he actually does when he signs.
Frank Wilson doing the primary recruiting there, a New Orleans kid?
Yeah, I mean, you'll have Frank on New Orleans. I think you'll see Frank kind of involved in a lot of different parts of the state now, maybe more so than his first go-around, just because, A, he's done it, and now he is kind of that guy on staff where you have an out-of-state coach, a guy like Kelly who's not been in Louisiana and doesn't have those relationships that maybe, for instance, a guy like Orgeron had built in. It doesn't become as valuable to have that one guy going point if you've got a head coach who knows all these high school coaches as well, and just how things sort of work. So, yes, now that Frank Wilson's working with Brian Kelly, I would presume, and so far it seems to be the case, that as kind of each month on the calendar turns, he becomes a little bit more involved in recruiting all of Louisiana.
Shea, we appreciate the time, man.
Anytime, Hunt. I'm glad you got your World Series win with your Pops, and I'm sorry that now you don't have anything to watch but the Cubs.
Yeah, that's a little disappointing. I mean, Wimbledon's on in here, and that's not great. British Open next week. We can get excited about that. But, yeah, I appreciate it. I enjoyed the National Championship very, very much. It was great.
All right. Well, let's catch up soon.
We will. Shea Dixon, Bengal Tiger, part of the On3 network. If you're not subscribed to On3, I would strongly recommend it. The amount of information that he, Billy, and Matthew can put into that message board is shocking to me at times, and they're in full swing here. We talk about that this is the slow time of year for us as far as content, because they're not playing any games. It is not the slow time over there at Bengal Tiger on 3. They are all over, and so there's a lot of buzz about Wardell Max, a lot of buzz about Dominic McKinley, and wanted to get Shea on to kind of give the overview. I liked one of the things that Shea said on their message board yesterday as I was kind of combing through. I said, look, as long as Frank Wilson's on staff at LSU, I'm going to give LSU a pretty darn good shot at pulling kids from John Ehret and the like down there in New Orleans. And so I kind of feel the same way. Frank's had an amazing amount of success recruiting that part of the state, and Wardell Max right smack dab in the middle of it. So hopefully he can close that deal as well. But we'll see as they recruiting season never stops. It's something that we can always talk about here. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.